Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Yes, we're in a slightly more snug environment. We're in the Beast of War snug.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we've been completely defeated by the weather. It is pouring with rain outside. It's pretty torrential.
And
it's cold.
very cold.
Yeah.
We've gone from being freezing and soaking wet to roasting.
Yes, we have
This is why I called it not out to sit next to the open fire.
If you had smell-o-vision at home, it'd be like, what is it, crackling?
Yes, it's we're in the snug. We're warming ourselves by the fire. Nice warm drink. Perfect way to start a morning. So welcome. Glad you could join us. I'm of course Warren. This is Brother Lloyd and the amazing Justin. Truly amazing. Anyway, it's great to have you back, Justin.
Yep.
We've had a busy couple of weeks. We've had obviously Kings of War.
Yeah, that one burnt me out a little bit.
And everything else that's going on. It has been busy. We apologise again that we didn't get a weekender out last weekend, but we did have another truck arrive with pretty much the rest of our stuff. So we now have it in secure lockup.
Yeah.
Packed to the very door of the secure lockup.
So pure Tetris.
It is a bit like Tetris.
It is Tetris. So it was the whole Tetris time we were packing it. The Tetris tune was going.
But it's all right. My dance moves finally come in useful.
Big telly, wee telly. So yeah, we've got it all packed up. We have we've been taking steps towards the studio, the permanent studio space over here, and we expect to be in Nottingham in the last week in November. To go over and start our first tranche of filming in our studio space over in Nottingham. So
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that.
But thereabouts, we'll have to
Yeah.
see how the studio developing on this side goes as well.
It's been really busy. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. Obviously, with independence comes great responsibility.
So feet down, set up.
Yeah, and head down and just keep pushing forward. So we've been getting tons of support obviously from the community, but also from the industry. So we're just we've got a lot of things planned. It's really exciting what's coming up, but as with everything else, it just takes a bit of time for us to get everything all kind of organized and ready to rock and roll. Halloween has now passed for another year, as with Bonfire Night. This year we managed to creep out a little gift for the Backstagers for Halloween, and that was the Zombie Apocalypse console, which is our kind of first foray into the thing that we've always enjoyed doing, and we did it way back at the start with the Deep Space Assault console. It's kind of like an ambience engine, we call it, which creates kind of like an audio ambient experience. So you have this audio ambient experience. We created the Deep Space Assault console for kind of like games like Space Hulk, where you're roaming around space stations, or kind of sci-fi environments where you're going to attack bugs.
It's got a really cool echo effect too.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you load it up on your laptop and you run around the room,
Waving
waving it about.
Waving it around. That's called the
Doppler
effect. So when we got back, we thought, well, to try and just get ourselves warmed up into these things again, we always wanted to do something with zombies.
Zombies.
Halloween was coming up. We got it out for Halloween night. We have some improvements and stuff like that planned for it. We have a few more planned for it. We're talking to some developers who are going to partner with us because we're planning to take them to mobile devices and tablets. So,
Anybody tried the phone number yet? Anybody?
I wonder, did anybody actually notice the phone number on the zombie apocalypse?
If you put my phone number on it, I will kill you.
We should have done that.
Maybe we shouldn't say whose phone number it is.
Yes. Post below whose phone number we've put on the barrel. For the zombie apocalypse.
This will take about 2 seconds in Google, but hey.
Yeah, about 2 seconds. Oh, the comments are ready there. So yeah, if you want to try out the Zombie Apocalypse console, and it is a lot of fun. I know one of our community members spent about 2 hours pressing the Last Night on Earth button.
As I said in the comments, he had a great night in.
So it's the idea is it's playing this ambience in the background. There's
So when you're playing your horror movies, it just gives you that That lovely little
when you're
feeling.
playing your horror games, right? We have shotguns in there.
Nice.
We have stabbing zombies in the head in there. We have zombies eating brains in there. We have the helicopter getaway in there. So it's kind of made for a lot of the different zombie genres, and we're going to add some more to it and stuff like that, because we want to revisit the original Deep Space Assault console.
And give it a revamp as well.
Revamp the zombie apocalypse engine, take that forward, and then we have some others. And the idea is that the backstagers will be able to log in, have these engines there.
Aye, for when they're just playing the games, they break out their tablet or whatever.
You just plug it into it would be your laptop or a PC to begin with.
Yeah.
But later on, there's no reason why we won't have versions that you just download to your tablet.
Right, well, there's one. What does the community actually want to see in one of those, I wonder?
Yeah, here, by all means, let's get it over. If you guys have ideas of what you would like ambient engines for, ambience consoles, post below, and by all means, we're open to it. I will warn you, though, I have some very strong ideas of my own.
I've got one, too. I think we should do ambient space.
Ambient.
Easy.
Yeah.
Done.
So, yes, things are getting busy. Very, very busy. We're also expanding the team a little bit by bit. We have some additional editors, associate editors coming on board with us now to help us expand coverage in certain areas. 40K being one of them, so as we can start really getting back into the vibe of it. Video games happens to be the other that we're exploring, because there are some really cool video games, and we're going to be doing little bits and pieces on video games, but video games that work for us as gamers.
We want to talk about video games as well. I mean, gaming's gaming.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go headlong into a whole...
No. You're not going to sit down and play World of Warcraft for however many hours to hit level 80 and then explain to everybody exactly how you got there.
It's not about that. It's not about Mario Kart either. It's about the kind of crossover games that, as tabletop gamers, that we would enjoy. And the reason we're doing that is twofold. One is that I'm a retired video gamer, so I haven't video gamed for a long time, okay? But I've been playing a video game recently that we'll be talking about called XCOM.
Very good game.
XCOM is awesome. It's so tabletop. It's everything that if it had come out a few years back, I may never have got into tabletop, to be honest, because I probably just would have got my fix.
It would have given you the feed from that,
so, it's very, very good.
Yeah, because you're right there. There'd be no point for us to return back to tabletop.
Yeah, because you would have had it in that pure digital format.
It would have caught us, but I'm
really glad it didn't exist, because now there's no taking me away from tabletop.
Yeah,
I'm just
the game itself is absolutely brilliant, the way they do it.
The game is superb. And there's an expansion on the way, and we're going to do some bits and pieces and around that. Oh, yeah.
And is this the Bureau?
No,
not the Bureau.
No, this is beyond. This is again. This is all about. You have Enemy Unknown is the one that you've played and I've played. The next one is called Enemy Within.
Oh.
And it's very cool. So,
you just finished the Bureau though as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I finished playing the Bureau.
What did you think of the Bureau?
It was sort of a hybrid game because it had third-person shooter elements, and it still had that sort of turn-based tactical combat thing in it.
Yeah.
Because your main character could slow down time and give orders out to his two squad mates. But I don't know, it didn't feel as pure as the other one. I enjoyed it, brilliant game, but I enjoyed XCOM Enemy Unknown so much more.
Well, the thing about this is, obviously some of us, not all of us in the community, but some of us in the community will enjoy playing video games and will enjoy this kind of coverage. The other side of this is that we're hoping to attract video gamers who enjoy those kinds of video games.
I'm a convert from video games to wargaming.
And introduce them to wargaming. So this is part of what we're doing to try and expand our recruitment reach, to try and bring more people into the community. So this is not about diluting our tabletop aspects. what we're doing with movies these days and video games is more about kind of expanding our reach and expanding the recruitment so that we can basically encourage more people to come in and enjoy our hobby.
So it's breaking down those walls that segregate everybody going, I'm a video gamer, I'm a tabletop gamer, I'm a movie buff.
And let's face it, we're only doing what you do at game night anyway. You're at game night, you talk about the games you're playing, but you also talk about other things as well.
Yeah, or you'll have a movie on in the background, or if somebody's not getting the game on, they'll have a video game up and running and chatting away about that at the same time.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in joining the Beasts of War team, and these days, pretty much voluntary, okay? So, it's there's no mega rewards. There are perks, obviously, to being involved in Beasts of War, but don't think that it's going to be a career just yet. But if you're interested in getting involved and working with us on a kind of like a daily basis, doing bits and pieces and helping the community, and really just doing awesome stuff, drop me an email to warren@beastsofwar.com. And especially if you think that there's a genre or a game or something that you think is underrepresented, Magic the Gathering, for example. So if you are particularly into your Magic the Gathering and want to help us cover the news, get people into it, get articles and things like that organized, you won't be on your own. You'll have the support of all of us, and Ben and Sam, or Bam as we call them. So if you fancy it, or if you think that there's a gap, and there are always gaps in our content flow, and you want to try and get involved, drop an email to warren@beastsofwar.com, and we'll talk. Okay, cold weather is coming in. Mm-hmm. For me, that means it's a very special time of year. Now, it's all about the movies and going to the cinema. Now that we're back home, okay, a trip to the cinema now costs us £3. £3. Whereas before,
instead of a tenner.
Instead of £10. So, but when we were in Essex, we didn't really get to the cinema. In fact, in the whole year that we were there, pretty much, I didn't get once.
I did.
Oh, I did get once. I got to see The Hobbit with the whole group
the
of
Christmas
guys.
do.
Yeah, so we got for a Christmas do, we got to see it. But other than that, I didn't get in. But now that we're back here, the cold weather comes in. This is the time of year that I love taking Andrea to the cinema.
Are we not supposed to be using the line "Winter is coming"? No?
Winter is coming. So, but there's a particular movie. Obviously, we're all excited about the Avengers and stuff like that. We have Shield on the TV at the moment, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, to be fair, I don't know yet. I'm really kind of, I have been watching it, which really is a great thing, because so much as I love TV and I love movies and stuff like that, I haven't had the time over the last while to watch it. I've made the point of watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but to me it's kind of like,
it's hard work.
It's like Avengers. It's like Avengers meets NCIS.
That sounds like a winning combination to me.
Yeah. However, there's no Avengers in it, and it's not as funny or as cute as NCIS.
I'm finding a little
it's
bit
forced.
I'm finding a bit hard work.
Yeah. Like the Fitzsimmons characters, they don't strike me as geeks. Do you know what I mean? It's I know geeks. I've grown up with geeks.
So
we're all geeks, so we know geeks. They don't strike me as geeks.
They're a little too chic to be geeks.
It all seems a bit forced. It doesn't have a natural kind of playfulness to it. It's not as good as some of the other stuff that's been out, the likes of obviously Dexter and things like that. You're into Breaking Bad at the moment.
Oh, I love that series.
I've only just started watching it. Can you believe that? I've only just started watching it.
Right, I have I think up to season 4.
It's all right. It's all taken care of on Netflix.
Netflix.
Okay, fair enough. But.
So the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Avengers, it's all coming out. But one of the ones that I'm very excited about is this. Get a load of this clip.
Logan, I was a very different man. Lead me. Guide me. Be patient with me.
Patience isn't my strongest suit.
there's a clip. Now, it might be a little bit difficult to understand because it's going to be one of those mind melters. So that's X-Men, Days of Future Past. Now, why I'm really excited about this is I really enjoyed the X-Men movies. Yeah, they were maybe a little bit camp, but, you know, I really liked them. And I especially enjoyed them with Patrick Stewart and whoever the guys is, Ian McKellen.
Hugh Jackman and the others, yeah.
Then came X-Men First Class, okay, which was, I couldn't quite work out. It was obviously an Origins movie, but it always felt a little disjointed from the rest of the series for me. Now, they've obviously been running off and doing a whole pile of Wolverine stuff, and I haven't actually seen the Wolverine Origins movie yet, so I've got to sit down. Yeah, well, I haven't seen them yet, so I need to sit down and actually watch those. But what I particularly like about this is the fact that it really does connect First Class to the trilogy of X-Men.
It connects all of it together again because it breaks away from that disjointedness that you were feeling.
So what I'm hoping it doesn't end up being is Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen at 5 minutes at the start, and then that's it. You know, I'm hoping that there's a lot of kind of back and forth.
It could be a possibility because from the look of the trailer, Wolverine's being sent back in time to deal with the younger Charles Xavier, so it might be that.
What you don't want is a Star Trek Generations type thing.
No, where you know Kirk was killed off in the first like 2 minutes, and then that was it. Well, it's we'll have to wait and see. But anything like that, I just really enjoy it because they're always a stonking good ride, you know, and it's something like that is just great in the cinema. But what I won't be doing is I won't be watching it in 3D.
No,
I have now pretty much officially given up on 3D. I think you know I was a big fan of 3D when Avatar came out, and I got myself a 3D TV. Andrea got me one for Christmas a couple of 3 years back, and I've hardly ever used the 3D aspect of it because I just find it such a hassle, and I get eye strain and stuff like that as well.
Is it not the same thing as whenever DVDs first came out? People were just going, they'll never replace the VHS. Never, not a chance.
No, you don't have to put glasses on.
Yeah, pretty much when DVDs came out, everybody said, yes, that's going to replace VHS.
Oh, fair enough.
You must have lived in a hobbit hole.
Yeah. No, I lived in Ireland. You know we're a little bit backward.
Here's the comparison. VHS and DVD. Yeah. VHS screen wiggle.
Yep, wiggle.
Yeah, all the fuzz and buzz and terrible audio.
Tapes that get dirty.
Yeah.
People recording over your movie by mistake.
Yeah, your machine eating them.
Having to fast forward, rewind.
Yeah, having to rewind after every
Now let's compare that to DVD. Stick it on.
Crystal clear.
Skip to where you want.
Yeah.
Where were you living, Justin? In 19? Oh, wait. You
weren't even born, were you? So anyway, I'm pretty much giving up on 3D. But
I'm not.
Are you not?
But then I don't have a 3D TV, so I've not had a sickener of it yet.
Yeah. The sickener's not of actually using it. The sickener is just of the hassle of trying to use it. You know, it's the fact that whenever you want to sit down and watch a movie, there's extra unnecessary steps.
Right, so getting the glasses, turning the 3D on.
Yeah.
Finding a movie that actually is in 3D.
Yep. And you can't watch it with your children.
Right.
Because your children under the age of something like 7 aren't allowed to use 3D glasses anyway because it'll ruin their eyesight.
Right.
So it's just so many restrictions.
The TV companies aren't going to be pushing it that much anyway, probably. They'll probably just shift focus to 4K, and that's that.
You reckon? 4K will have a 3D kind of a feel to it. Anyway,
okay, first I've heard of it, I'm staying out of it.
4K is basically 4,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels.
No, it's not.
Or what is it?
No, it's not. That's not the resolution of it.
I
can't remember what the resolution
is. It's massive anyway. It's something like that. Is it not 4 times 1080p?
So in other words, it's just ridiculously sharp.
Yes.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Right, that's all you had to say, was ridiculously sharp.
Scariest environment imaginable.
All you had to say.
But what I can't wait for is the Avengers and X-Men to really start making it to the tabletop. Now, we've obviously seen them with HeroClix.
Yeah.
And you've been playing that a bit recently.
I've played a couple of games of it while we were in Essex.
Yeah.
And I find it's a light, fun, easy game. My problem? The minis. There's so many different sets of minis. It's blind buys. You know, I mean, like I was talking to a couple of the guys in Essex who collect them. And whenever a new series comes out, they will go out and just buy a couple of bricks, which is just the big full box of a ton of them, and they'll just go through until they have the exact ones they want. You know, and it just seems like such a hassle. Instead of going, no, I want to actually build my Avengers team. I want to build my X-Men team.
So it's lottery versus hobby.
Yeah.
But is it not exciting to go out and buy something and go, ooh,
No.
I wonder what I got?
No, it's what I hate about Magic the Gathering as well, is those blind buys.
Well, I've got to admit, I kind of.
I don't know. I always...
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. Okay, I fear the blind buys. I think anybody that's on a tight budget fears the blind buys because, you know, they know that they don't have enough.
They're not going to be on that top razor edge competitive level. Find
but
them out
not
of the
only
mind
that.
and all the rest for it.
Yeah, but it's not only that. If you and your opponent each bought one pack, you have as much chance as he has as getting something cool. Okay, but it's not the getting something cool. For me, it's more about the getting something that I want, and I've got very used to because I'm in the hobby.
What you want.
I've got very used to having armies and forces and combat teams being the way I want them to be.
Yes, because you've paid for them to be the way you want them to be in other cash
So my
points or
concern
whatever.
is if I went down that route, I'd want my team to be such and such a way, and I'd be buying to try and get that guy. Even though I might get somebody better in some respects, that still wouldn't satisfy me because I'd be after
this
particular
team.
thing. Yeah.
But
I get that's true though. I mean, it's not like a Kinder Egg where you're spending a few quid and you go, there we go, surprise toy. Ha.
Yeah.
yeah, this is something you're actually buying, and it's a surprise piece for your game. Now,
But
fine,
what
some
it
people
does
might
do
enjoy
is
that.
it does encourage community because of the whole trading aspect of it.
Well, yeah, you have that as well.
So, but that's no help to you where a community doesn't exist. So if
But
there's
if the community
if there's
doesn't exist, who are you playing?
well, this is
Suppose
it.
you're collecting at that point, aren't
it's
you?
that little bit chicken and egg, I think, at the start, and I think that's why, in some places, I think it's geographic as well. You know, I think that in some places it's maybe not as popular because it's more risky the smaller the community that's there.
Yeah. Well, even in TTN, there is a group of guys down there who play the hero clicks every week. You know, and some of them are the hardcore collectors. They want to get every last one they can and find out who's the best.
Yeah.
You know, although I did find the game really weird because as you take damage, you'll click down, and that changes your stats and your abilities. So it's not just, oh, I'm a little bit weaker now. It's actually, no, you have a completely different power now because you've took a bit of damage.
Cool, though.
That's kind of cool.
It's a bit of a mind bender whenever you first try and wrap your head about it. They also have a really cool activation system. So you have 2 points of activation. You'll activate half your team in the first round, and then in the second round you can activate all of the other half, or you can force the other guys. But for each activation you put on them, they need a 1 round cooldown for each activation point on them. So it becomes a really activation based game. So your tactics of who you're activating when and where, you know, and who you're going to force when and where.
That's interesting. If you could combine that with proper line of sight and terrain rules and things like that,
Yeah.
that it actually feels like they're playing in a city or in a battlefield rather than just on one of them flat mats. That's the thing that
But you
always
slow
left
down,
me
you slow
wanting.
down speed of gameplay though at that point.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you're also doing
but
grid play with them
I
as well.
would, yes, but I would gladly sacrifice a little bit of speed of gameplay for the added visual impact and the coolness of having
But then
superheroes in proper terrain
Then you
rather
go-
than on.
Yeah, but again, if you want it, you can do that. If you're wanting to put the
What's the
time
other
and the
one
effort
called?
in.
You could then just go for Pulp City, isn't it?
Pulp City is the
Yeah.
other superhero game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Right.
not grid based, is it?
I don't know. I've not actually played it. So.
Well, there's one to put on the list for us to try.
Yep, if we have a Pulp City hero out there who wants to step up.
Yep.
Because it's been around now.
Oh, it's been around for a
while.
good while.
Yeah.
Good while.
It's
And they're
always-
doing some
it's
really
always
nice
looked
stuff.
interesting, but we've never really got that in depth into it.
In terms of the actual models themselves, obviously we know that the stuff that's coming out of WizKids is all pre-paints, okay? And the ones you buy never look quite as good as the ones that they show on the website, and the ones that they show on the website never look that great anyway.
Well, are the ones on the website not 3D renders?
Yeah.
If I remember
A lot of the
correctly.
time- sometimes I don't know. The pre-paints, when pre-paints are done well, X-Wing, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
When pre-paints are done well, they're fantastic and a fantastic time saver, and something I know me and Lloyd are very interested in. Dust for us has become a really big thing on our radar at the moment.
We
and
know
something
we
we're
know
very
it's
much
not
looking forward
pre-painted. It's coloured.
Yeah, it's pre-based with insignia.
It's kind of half pre-made and stuff.
Yeah, it's made. It's undercoated. It's got decals on it. All that's left to do is weathering.
Weathering and
techniques.
super detailing.
So, but more on Dust over the next few
but
weeks.
We were talking about having a superhero war game for the Marvel Universe. What would you say that would require? You know, how many aside per team? And would it be heroes versus villains the whole time, or would you have heroes versus heroes that works?
I don't know. I would probably have like an AI deck where there's trouble happening in the city, okay, and that your enemies can kind of force more trouble to be happening, and your good guys have to try and combat the enemies while still sorting out the trouble that's happening in the city.
Right.
So I wouldn't have it just a straight versus. I would hope that you could have something that really captures what's going on, because remember, your superheroes are obviously battling arch enemies, but at the same time they're trying to rescue people, stop all the other things that are going on.
You would have two levels to the game: your main game where your heroes are all battling, and then a sub game where the cops are maybe going after the criminals.
You know, now that I think about it, that's something you don't really see in the likes of the Avenger movies and stuff. They don't save people individually like Superman does.
Well, Iron Man does.
Like who?
That guy with the thing in the place.
He only saves people he gets into trouble in the first place.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Iron Man is my favourite of all the Avengers.
If there was one company that was going to do Avengers miniatures or X-Men miniatures, I would have to pick. If I could pick, I would have to pick Night Models. Night Models for me are doing some astounding stuff, and they're capturing licenses all over the industry at the moment. For example, we know that they do
DC,
Batman.
Yep.
Okay,
they've got the game for it.
Batman stuff is just unbelievable. And on top of that,
it did blossomed into a great range. That
it's just
stunning.
And I can totally see a Batman game using that mechanic.
They've created a Batman miniatures game.
Have they?
Yes.
Yeah, we just haven't had time to play it.
Yeah, no. Sure, I picked up the Harley Quinn, and whenever I opened it up, it was all exciting. Oh man, she's so pretty, so nice. Took out the little insert card and folded it out. What's this? It's all her stats on the insert card.
Right, so we just need to get the rules then.
Yeah, it's just get the rules.
Let's do that. Let's get the rules. But I think Batman would suit that idea of like an AI deck really well, where you maybe have your arch enemy, but you also have lots of other crime taking place around the city.
Yeah.
And Batman's trying to balance keeping the city
safe
down from threat level,
but
dealing with the Joker or
stopping the arch enemy's plan from moving too
but
far
when you
ahead.
describe it as I think board game,
Possibly.
I don't think war game, because I don't see how you're supposed to represent that on a tabletop
See, this
environment.
is why I'm thinking you have two levels to your game: one where it's your heroes and one where it's the cops versus the criminals. So you have those two aspects of the city going on at the same time.
Well, the other thing, just to move us on Night Models, is they've recently started to bring out Lord of the Rings miniatures.
Yep.
I thought Lord of the Rings had all been completely sewn up by Games Workshop. So I was really surprised to see these, and they are stunning.
Hobbits
are really,
there's
really
Bilbo
good. Sorry,
Baggins.
Hobbit stuff, yeah.
Bilbo Baggins in 35mm, looking all cheeky, and the other one I have here is Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah. Now this is interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. You know, it's I think that these guys are probably some of the hottest property in the industry
At the minute, with the Desolation of Smaug coming out soon.
Yeah. So it's I wonder, will they do a game, or is that sewn up? Is that a step too far? And does every model in the industry have to have a game, or is it sometimes okay just to pick something up just for the sake of collecting it?
Well, painting it, collecting it, loving it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the other one they've picked up is the Watchmen franchise. They've got you've got the comedian.
Yeah.
In his full armor, shotgun up over the shoulder, looking all badass, and then the other one is Rorschach, I think.
Rorschach.
Yeah,
something.
I'm not
the guy with the ink blot mask.
I'm not particularly au fait with them, other than watching the movie and getting creeped out by What was the guy?
The big blue guy.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan.
Marching along the field.
With his willy out.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God this is not in 3D.
Although they did a family-friendly version.
If it was in 3D, you'd get slapped in the face by it.
They did a family-friendly version where they did make him put on some pants.
Did they really?
They did.
Did they?
They did.
They didn't have 6 versions of running around with Charlie's left, right, and centre.
No.
No, but that was only in Vietnam when they had Charlie. And I think Charlie was down, wasn't he?
That's another one I would love to see. Even a little board game for that would be really fun. You know, that's one of the ones I would say. Yes, it's beautiful. It's pretty to have them. Nice for the collector, but I want a game.
Well, if you're going to do superhero board games, right? Whereas an arching story, but you want it to have like a war game element to it. You build like a board game where you're moving around, and then you move into an environment. And you go, oh, we're in this environment. Lift out the environment tile, and then let's switch over to actually interacting in that environment and having a fight.
Yeah, possibly.
So you would actually have an encounter tile deck.
No, yeah, well, you know, it's
Essentially, it's what it is.
essentially an arena, and you play in that, and then you switch over to you can.
The other aspect of this from a game mechanic point of view is you remember that any war game where you're playing on a gaming table, okay, becomes a board game the minute you zone it out, and you basically do it in zones, 12-inch square zone.
No, but what I meant is you just stick down the environment and you use your tape measure and you move around in that environment and things like that. You just a condensed environment.
So basically, it's that cinematic thing of going,
you know, and then Batman wins his fight, gets back in his Batmobile, and he's off.
Back into the city.
And then it's hitting the next zone. Oh, we're here and we're having a fight with the Penguin.
Zooming in.
Into the environment. Let's see what happens.
That's interesting because I'll tell you a game that kind of feels a bit like that is Flames of War. Flames of War, I find myself zooming out and then zooming in. But I'll tell you, there's a specific game that's coming out right now, and that's Dead Zone. And Dead Zone's very interesting, Lloyd, and it has tried to secure the middle ground between board game and war game. So when we get a box of that and we sit down and play that, it'll be interesting to see what you think of that and see if that actually ticks some of those boxes. Okay, so Night Models are rolling out The Hobbit. It'll be interesting to see where that goes because I just think that some of their models are superb and the licenses they're getting are unbelievable.
I mean, they've got pretty much the full DC range. They've got some Marvel.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, their Star Wars stuff is great
Yeah.
as well.
But
It is
that,
really
that
good.
is just a range of models.
It's just collectible. It's just collectibles.
Nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so we've just come out of Kings of War week, where you had the opportunity to win 2,000-point armies.
Yeah, one of them
Simply by
undead, one you
calling.
would pick, and then there's the spot prizes as well.
Yeah, all of that is going to be announced in the next Weekender, just to give a little bit more time for everybody to get their comments. And there's loads of bloggers out there that have been blogging about it. So in the next Weekender, watch out for that. But that doesn't mean that we're not giving away something in this Weekender. Now that we're settled, one of the awesome things that's happened is the packages have all started to arrive
come in again. Yeah.
So we're starting to see all the new stuff. And one of the things I'm really excited to show you guys, because I just think it's kind of awesome, is this little bad boy here. So this little package came in from a company called Plastik Krak, which is a relatively new company. You can find them at Plastik, PLASTICKRAK.com. And what I have here is called the Companion Skull Base Model. Basically, let me show you the components. This is kind of a Robo Skull. In fact, you might say that this Robo Skull has servos.
Is it a servant?
So here's the two halves of the skull here. So let me just move that out of the way. So here we have a half here. It's in beautiful resin. It's really nicely cast. There's a little bit of roughness here and there, the odd gap, but nothing that isn't very workable in terms of how you would use it. And the two halves of the skull go together like that. You have a hole at the base, and you have basically bits where you stick on. So I'm going to show you some of the other bits that go into it. So with the skull, you also get a bag of bits. And in there is just some awesome sauce. So now there's big chunks of resin on these, but these are kind of like the two kind of hinges, and these hinges fit in. Let me just put this together. Fit into these gaps here. And what you could do is basically, if you wanted to create, I don't know, kind of like tools or things like that there of yourself. You
it says on the packaging this is the base kit, so maybe the company's planning to bring out attachments to go on to those.
Oh, I most certainly think that they probably are considering bringing out attachments for it. So it comes with its instructions, which has all the bits and pieces on there on how to assemble it and the tools that you need. It takes you through step by step, and I'm going to show you this little piece, the eyepiece, now in a second, and then shows you the finished model. It has, as I said, an eyepiece, which is this bit here. And the eyepiece, again, is connected to a big lump of resin that you'll saw off.
We carve the block off.
And then that piece there fits into this eye socket. Now, of course, we have one built. So quite simple to put together. A lovely little painting challenge. I think it'd be perfect for kind of, well, you can put it up on your mantelpiece if the other half would allow it.
What's this? Why is there a skull on my fireplace? What's going on?
For cosplay.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you've got this big hole in at the bottom of it. So if you stick a brush shaft into that and figure some way to attach it to your shoulder, job's good.
And here we have it complete. So this is it complete with its eye socket.
That's really cool, all
its
these
harnesses.
technical bits.
Oh, the eye
all
socket
the little,
is so well done.
I can just imagine little motors and servos
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
you
in
just
that.
hear it clicking and whirring.
Now, clearly, I can think of purposes, like if you were into your Inquisitor type stuff or your 40k type stuff, you'll love something like this, because you could use something like that as a kind of, you know, a skull with servos, couldn't you? It would fit in really well. I think it's a lovely piece. I think it's a fascinating thing. That's the first thing to come out of Plastik Krak. Plastik Krak have also started work on some stuff. Do you remember we've kicked off Inheritance? Where Inheritance is kind of a little project that we kind of run in Backstage. It's been a while since we've looked at it. We have to get back onto it. But Inheritance was kind of like our take on where the Warhammer 40k story could go.
Yeah.
And it was us looking at, you know, the two lost legions coming back and what would happen. If you want to find out more about it, join Backstage, because we have videos dedicated to this. We have a forum dedicated to Inheritance as well. Plastik Krak have been watching that and are actually kind of working up some vehicles and things like that there that they think would be interesting for Inheritance.
Interesting.
So I'm very interested in that as well. So we're going to try and get a chat with those guys, and we'll see if we can bring them in. Obviously, anything that they do would be compatible with anything else. But I just thought it was interesting that they've been watching the Inheritance stuff that
they've actually said, you know what, let's have a little play with this.
Yeah, let's have a play with it. And clearly the guys can sculpt. You know, it's I'm just very keen to see where that goes. Anyway, I'm going to give away 2 of these.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to give away one front stage, okay, or basically through the Weekender here. In order to win that, all you have to do is comment below over here on beastsofwar.com. So if you're currently watching this on YouTube, hop on over to beastsofwar.com, create yourself a free user account, and just comment below this video. The link to the appropriate page will be in this video. You just click it there.
I'll put a bit.ly link below on YouTube, guys.
Yeah, but you can also click this beneath me here. There'll be an overlay, and you can click it.
Oh, right,
Click
you're
this-
going to put an annotation.
This annotation.
That's the word I'm looking for. Click this annotation, and
Right.
it'll take you to this page. Create a user account on Beasts of War. It's free to do that. Post a comment, and you become part of the Beasts of War community, and you're in with a chance of winning one of these bad boys. I'm also going to give away one to Backstagers.
Right.
Okay? So for the chance to win that one, you have to have a Backstage account, which I highly, highly recommend, because it's what keeps the lights burning and the fire burning as well. But not the fire in our hearts. So if you want to do that, you have to be a Backstage member, and what you would comment on is the extended version of this show. It's kind of this show plus, and we call that XLBS, the Weekender XLBS. And it goes out on a Sunday on beastsofwar.com. So we're going to give away 2 of them.
Yeah, so one here on the Weekender, the other on XLBS.
They're great models. They'll be fun to paint, regardless of what you're into. It's an interesting thing to show off to your mates, etc. So that's the competition. Now, on the topic of sci-fi, the big news this week, the thing that I'm mega excited about, is the launch of Dire Foes from the guys at Corvus Belli for Infinity. Now, Dire Foes, Justin, if I'm getting this right, is looking at basically people that hate each other within Infinity.
Here's what it is. It's a new box coming out for Infinity. They've got 3 so far.
Yeah,
in each box.
3 is the interesting bit, because when it first came out, I thought it was Dire Foes as like one person versus another.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it introduced the third.
Yeah, because in each box you've got 3 characters. So you have your actual 2 Dire Foes, and then you have a third person in the box. So in this one, it's the little contact who works into a story.
So
box,
that's Dark Mist now you're looking at. That's Mission Pack 3.
Yeah.
It has...
Yuriko Oda and Isabel McGregor, who we got the little sneak peek
They're
of.
the Dire Foes, so they're the ones that can't stand each other.
Yeah.
And then the Comtech is kind of like a civilian, isn't it?
Yeah, and then inside it you've got a download code.
Yeah.
To give you the specific mission pack for that.
Ooh.
On top of that, you're getting art prints in there as well as your troop profiles.
Yeah.
So this is just a self-contained little story, which I really, really love. So as I said, they've got 3 at the minute, so that's Dark Mist.
Yeah.
You've also got Train Rescue.
Train Rescue?
Yep. So
I like the sound of that.
Fusilier Angus.
That's a civilian.
I believe is your civilian dude.
Well, Civi, yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got Fusilier Indigo Bipanda, I think.
Bipandra.
Gotta love them Infinity names.
Yeah.
And I apologise for this in advance, Carlos. I'm about to mangle a combined army name.
Tree Talk Anyat.
Okay, there you go. But no, again, it's another cool little enclosed story.
Yeah.
It's sort of bringing you 2 different factions together. So say I only collect Pano. I get the Pano box, and oh look, I've got a wee cool combined army one here. I might give that a try. Oh, actually, I wouldn't mind giving combined army a try. I enjoyed painting that. You know.
But is it just these 3 characters you need to play these little missions then?
Yeah, so
I don't know.
To play the mission of, for example, the mission pack 2 is called Fleeting Alliance. So if Fleeting Alliance has Lupe Balboa.
Yep.
It has Marine Engineering Officer as the Civi, and then you have I think it's Thrasimides.
Thrasimides, I think that's a laugh.
Pardon me. So you add them to the armies, okay? So you'd probably buy this box between you and a mate unless you actually collect both armies.
Yeah.
And the box that you pick would depend on the armies that you play. And then you download all this stuff, the missions, and then you play it out. What I particularly like about it is Infinity lends itself so well to this particular type of...
game.
Yes, to this particular type of storyline, scenario, whatever we want to call it. And I don't think I've ever seen a kind of like a Dire Foes thing before in the
a
industry.
story arc pack is essentially what it is.
Well, no, there's been story arc packs, but I've never seen it pitched in such a way as these 2 characters can't stand each other. You know, it adds so much personality to the game.
Yeah.
You know, because it's you can have the factions fighting each other, but how much more does it really nail it home whenever you have individual characters that are going to battle to the death, basically?
Well, it's all about that cinematicness, isn't it? You know, Infinity's got that cinematicness. I'm down, I'm looking around, it's always moving.
Yeah, it's always your turn.
So it kind of suits to have a character who absolutely hates another character.
And they're trying to seek each other out.
Exactly, which means you both sort of know what each other's going to do, so the rest of your force is trying to shift and mould its tactics around that. So it gives you a central focal point for your battle.
Yeah. So if you're into your Infinity, you gotta check that out. We're trying to kidnap some Infinity guys here at the moment and see if we can get them over specifically to play through some of this.
It's not a new faction, because someone on YouTube would put a comment on going, what is this? This is a new faction? No, it's not a new faction.
No. What these are they're individual story packs that contain 3 models, 2 of which can't stand each other and want to rip each other's lungs out.
The third of which is a key component of the story that you're told with the mission.
Now we've seen 3 but there are still 2 more to come. So there's 5 so far.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see the next 2 that come out.
And then the other thing I'm waiting for is the next wave of bootleg. Because I know the guys will be busy away working on that, and I've heard nothing of what they're doing yet, but I can't wait to see it.
I love the Marine Engineer Officer.
Yeah.
Engineering officer.
Yeah, she looks like a little traffic warden or something. Just really cute with the tiny little hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no love for traffic wardens. I know they're just doing their job, but I've suffered at the hands of traffic wardens.
I don't drive, so I'm sad.
Okay.
I was just going to say that there was a comment on the site that I particularly laughed at earlier.
Oh, yes.
Oh, who was it?
And I can see why he says that comment when you've got things
when you
like
see
her.
it. Do you know what? Let's bring it up. Tasker had this to say.
I don't know how the hell he manages it, but once again, he's given me the raging horn with his painted figures.
Do you know what? The funny thing is, well, it's not a fun. Well, I guess the thing is, we'll kind of think it at times, but we don't say it.
You didn't say it. Tasker did. Yeah, nice one. So it's I hope you enjoyed that. This is something I want to do more of. I want to start pulling out some of the comments, because some of the comments that we get on PC4 are absolutely hilarious.
Priceless.
No, we get tons of really beautifully thought out comments, but every now and again there comes along a comment that just
Brain
makes me
fart.
go, that is just
It's a brain fart.
It's just stunning. It's stunning. It's like your mouth just went off on its through your hands, you know. It's like no brain in there. We've all done it. We've all done it. Okay, we've reached that part of the show that we call Game of the Weekend. So, I've been on the horror games. Okay.
Yes.
I've been doing the zombie games. I have some more horror games to show you guys over coming episodes between now and Christmas. I am on the lookout for a Santa Claus game or some kind of game with Santa and Rudolph in it. Maybe I'm not. But I decided to take a bit of a break from the horror games because I'd been chatting to Andrea about Flames of War. And as I've mentioned in the past, Andrea's quite a buff on things World War II. She studied it in her degree and stuff like that. And I have really come to love Flames of War. So I thought to myself, there's got to be a way where, now that we're home with our friends, that I could introduce some non-gamers to gaming.
Which could maybe segue them into full wargaming.
Yes, particularly towards Flames of War, because it's something that I've been enjoying at the moment, and I just highly recommend it.
And they'll understand the concept.
They'll understand the concept of it, you know, because one of the difficult things is if for example I took Relics along to people that had never gamed in 40k, their eyes will glaze over. They'll say this is basically Monopoly with stuff that I don't understand, and I would have to say, yeah, fair enough. But concepts of World War II, Axis versus Allies.
Yeah, it's something that everybody knows. It's a universal concept.
So, what I picked up was a game by Days of Wonder, who are massively famous within the board gaming sphere, and it's called Memoir 44. It's quite a popular game. I think a lot of people will have heard of it. I want to show you guys, I want to show you the game, show you the components, and talk you through a couple of the rules and how it plays. First off, let me unbox the thing. So it comes, it's a great box. It has the rules and the battle scenarios. The rules are very easy to pick up. I actually, my first experience of this game was with, we're in the process of setting up a kind of like a Beasts of War club now that we're here. And there was a kind of like an existing ad hoc club in this area.
Right.
So what we've done is we've been reaching out to those guys and saying, well, look, we might be able to get a venue and stuff like that organized. So I've been looking around some venues. I'm going to be covering this in a show specifically about setting up a club, because we'd like to help you, yes, you, wherever you are in the world, who wants to set up a club and hasn't done it yet. We're going to try and do our bit to help you do that, so you can actually do that with us, and we'll do it together.
Because there's a big mental hurdle that you have to jump over. It's like, oh, I'd like to start a club, but...
One of the first steps of starting a club is see if there's anything going on in your area, because the last thing you want to do is stand on people's toes. So I found this great little club. I use the word little advisedly, but there are a bunch of guys that get together. It's very ad hoc. But I met up with 2 of them to show them around a potential venue that we had. And I brought a board game with me because I thought, well, you know what, it's an opportunity to get a game. So with them, we played through Memoir 44, and I've played a game of it since then as well, where I've been showing it off at home. So you get the rule book, which is great. The rules are very, very clear. There's little to no ambiguity in this game at all. So once you've read through it, you will get it.
So
And
there aren't really any loopholes in the rules that you're going to try and weasel your way out of?
None that I have come across
That's
so
great.
far. Now I haven't got very far advanced in it because, as you guys know, I like to talk about the games that kind of like beginner level, because there's no point in me rushing off to become really advanced in the game. There's plenty of growth in this game, but if you haven't played it and you're watching this and you want to get into it, I'm going to try and keep this around the basics. What I found about the rules were very nicely structured in that you could actually learn as you played, okay?
Right.
So you didn't have to sit and read the entire rules
So it
before
has
you
like
started.
a tutorial mission?
Well, it has what's called firstly, your first page is all about setting up the game. Okay, so we just started there. So before we got to anything else, we just thought, okay, that's fine. And it points you to a mission on page 19. And that mission is called Pegasus Bridge, which, Pegasus Bridge, oh, Dave, where are you when I need you? Okay, Pegasus Bridge was a bunch of allied dudes that went in and kicked some Axis butt.
Got it.
Okay, those allied dudes, from what I can gather, were crazy motherfuckers, and they went
Thanks for the first beat of the show.
and they went in a plane with no engine, made out of cardboard and blankets.
A glider.
That's the technical term. I'm trying to keep this simple for our viewers at home. They went in a plane made out of wood, cardboard, and blankets. Okay.
Right, and I don't think you mean they landed. I think you mean they crashed.
They did crash, but it was a good crash.
Yeah.
It was a good crash where they all got out. In fact, the pilot who did it, I think he's still alive. You're a really cool dude. I saw him on TV once talking about it. And even he was surprised by how good a crash it was.
But it's a glider, it's supposed to crash.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
it's
point.
a controlled crash.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he crashed it. Basically, this was the very first thing of D-Day. Okay. So before anything else happened, well, do you know what? To be fair, the SAS or somebody was probably in doing a lot of stuff in and around that.
Yeah,
bit,
and then you had the little fake paratroopers dropping in as well.
before any of the major action happened, these guys went in their cardboard plane, skidded along and crashed so close to the bridge, Pegasus Bridge, that they were trying to take, that the operation went smoothly. One poor guy got killed. He became the first casualty of the whole D-Day thing. But it was a very successful operation. I've got to do a plug for Warlord. If you love bolt action, what's not to like in bolt action? Warlord have actually brought out Pegasus Bridge set. Okay,
So you can
Do
actually get it as a 28mm terrain piece?
Yep, of the whole bridge and all the miniatures and stuff like that. To do it. Do you know what they did for Rourke's Drift for the whole Zulu
Same again?
type thing? Yes.
Oh.
And it is stunning. Stunning.
I'm sorry.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning, Justin. It's that good. It is that good.
Why
So
do I
what-
feel like
so-
he's taking the piss right
So what
now?
you tell
No,
me?
no, really, it is that good. We haven't got it here yet.
No,
but
I mean taking the piss out of me, not out of the actual thing. I'm sure
as
it's
soon
great.
as soon as we're finished this show, it just reminded me to go and phone them and say, we
What
want
you
to see that.
what you're telling us is this looks nice.
It's stunning. So anyway, so Pegasus Bridge, it was kind of like the first action of the whole D-Day invasion. So what you do is you basically just follow the little map. So the little map tells you where to put all your terrain tiles and things like that. Speaking of which, let's open the box up and show you what you get. So the first thing you get
Is the big map.
is the map. And it is a double-sided map. And on one side of the map, you get a whole kind of beach landing D-Day thing. And on the other side of the map, you get your inland fighting. Okay? Now, the Pegasus Bridge stuff all took place inland. So you would go to that side of the map. Next thing you get are these little hex tiles. Oops,
Hey.
This will probably sit better like this.
Easy tagger.
So I'll put that like that. You get these hex tiles, and these hex tiles have various different kinds of terrain. So there's a wiggly bit of a river, there's a straight bit of a river, there is forest. Slow down, Justin, slow down. There is kind of like, where are we at?
Little manor
kind
house?
of like a town. There's another type of town.
See that red
In
line?
fact, that looks more like
Spot.
a church. So it's that looks more like a church. This is a town. These are kind of hedgerows. You know, there's lots and lots of different types.
All right, and they're
of terrain.
double-sided.
Yes, they're all double-sided. So what you do is you lay them out in the fashion that the map tells you to. And down the side of the map, it tells you how many of each item you're going to need. Okay? So you lay all that out. You have other little terrain pieces that you can add. Like, for example, you have these little 4 bits here. So there are bridges. So wherever you have river, if you want to put a bridge down, so if you put your river there, you just set your bridge on top of it. And again, they're double-sided, so it can also be a bunker,
Cool.
which is perfect for the whole beach invasion type thing. So that's your kind of your terrain and your counters. Let me show you some of the miniatures. So for the allies, this is what you get. You get loads and loads of little toy soldiers, okay? You get tons of them. So what you do is every time you put down a platoon sits in a hex and consists of 4 guys, okay? So every platoon that goes down on the board contains 4 of these little guys.
Sweet.
And they're great. So that's your kind of infantry. You also get armor. And for armor, we've got these cool like little Shermans, okay? So there's
cool.
tanks in it as well. And finally, there's kind of artillery with these nice little artillery pieces, okay?
I mean,
So I'm gonna put
what
the-
happens with those? I mean, is there 2 or 3 tanks in one hex, or
Yes, well, you know, I think tanks come in platoons of, I think it's platoons of 2 or 3. I'd have to check the rules. We're not going to worry ourselves too much about that just at this moment, okay? So I'm going to put the tanks and the armor away and just focus on the actual infantry for the moment, okay? So
do we need any Germans?
yeah, you have the same thing for the Germans. The quality of the miniatures is actually really good. The Germans get basically the same thing, but it's a more German-looking tank.
Yeah, well, you use Panzer IV.
Yeah, Panzer IVs versus kind of like a Sherman type thing, okay? And they get their Pack 40s or whatever it is that they're fielding.
Anti-tank gun.
And they get
Their own infantry.
their own infantry. Now, if you're wondering what these long bits here are, this is where the core mechanics of the game actually start to come into play. Because, let me move that out of the way, the entire game runs off card decks, okay? So let me just try and organize a little bit first. So these are the command cards, and then there are terrain cards. So let me start by showing you the terrain cards. So whenever you have your terrain on the board, you get cards to describe what the actual terrain does. So in this one, rivers and waterways, and then it gives you the effects. So it's impassable except over bridges, which are considered normal terrain. And bridges block line of sight, but rivers do not. So these cards describe to you just exactly what the terrain on the field actually does. This one here is a forest. It'll block line of sight. A unit moving into a forest must stop regardless of if it has any movement left. And a unit moving in cannot battle except for the French resistance, okay, who can battle in and out of forest because obviously they're resistant.
Same for towns. Oops.
Down here it has a little -1, -2, which I believe, and that's how we've been playing it, means that if you're shooting into a forest, you're -1 to hit and against infantry, and if a tank tries to shoot into a forest, it's -2 to hit. That's maybe worth double checking that one actually, but then we come to the command cards, okay? So what happens in this particular game, the Pegasus Bridge, the Germans are kind of taken by surprise. Okay,
As you would be if an airplane made of cardboard landed on your head.
Well, if you think pretty much a silent landing, save for the last little crunch.
Well, the way they modelled that in this game was that the Germans start with 2 command cards, okay? And the Allies start with 6 command cards, okay? So, after turn 1, the Germans then get another 2 command cards, and that basically takes them up to
So
them.
basically, this is them becoming slightly more aware of what's going on.
Slightly more aware, and it basically gives them more tactical options. So what happens is on the command cards, at the bottom of the command card, you can see a kind of a version of the board.
A little lower. There we go.
So you can see a version of the board, and you basically have your board is cut into 3 segments: the right-hand side, the middle, and the left.
As it's marked out here with these lines.
As it's marked out with these red lines on the board. So the one that's lit up, basically any units in that segment or on the red line of that segment, you can give the order to, okay? And this order is assault. So basically issue an order to all units on the right flank. So what this does is this kind of models things like the fog of war. So as you use these orders up, like here's one here, which is called General Advance. Issue an order to 2 units in each section, and so here you see each section is lit up and each has a 2 beside it. So that card allows you to issue orders to your entire army right across all the sections. But once you've used it, it then goes into the discard pile. Okay? And then you pick up another card, which means that as the game ebbs and flows, you can find that your
basically your
options
and
narrow.
your lines of communication start to break up.
So your tactical options narrow, or you might pull out a cool card, which means your tactical options have widened out a little bit.
Yeah, you see there's a couple I see here. Direct from HQ, choose 4 units to activate.
Yes, now
That
these
seems
ones
very good.
are special, okay? So these types of cards, direct from HQ, and this one is issue an order to 4 units of your choice. So you'd probably want to hold on to something like that until you've started to run out of options a little bit, or one of your plans, one of your tactical options.
Yeah, you need to bug out.
Has come in. Well, or attack. So whenever you give an order to infantry, one of those orders can be move, okay? And infantry can move 1 hex and battle, or move 2 hexes and not battle. So your entire infantry could go 1, 2 to there and not battle, or it could just move the 1 hex and battle. And battle includes whether you're shooting or assaulting another unit that's beside it. For armor, that's your tanks, they can move up to 3 hexes in battle. So they've got really good movement. So they just move 3 and they battle every time. And artillery can either move 1 hex or battle. Okay?
Oh, right. So you can't move your artillery and shoot. It has to be move or shoot.
Correct.
Representing setup time.
Which represents a setup time, and it's something that we would all be used to in games like Flames of War, etc. Anyway, whenever it comes to actually doing the battle, let me get some Germans on the field here. So I get 4 Germans that are standing here. It's all to do with range, okay? So basically, the battle is counted down as so. You can basically roll up to 3 dice. Sometimes you get cards that give you the option to add a dice to that, in which case you might be able to roll 4, possibly even more dice, okay? And these are the dice here. So let me just move out of the way. So on the dice, they have a tank, which is, if you're shooting with a tank, you want to see that because that is around hitting. Here is a little infantryman, and if you're shooting or attacking with your infantrymen, you want to see that. A grenade is just an automatic hit. I think that's regardless of whether you're an infantryman or a tank. The star is a miss, which means nothing happens. And the flag is going to cause whoever you're shooting at to retreat a little bit. So what happens is, if you were next standing here, okay,
Yep,
you
okay.
basically count 3, 2. Okay? So in this case, they would get to shoot with 2 dice.
Right.
Or if they were standing right beside it, they'd get to attack with 3 dice. Or if they were there and they had a special card, they'd get their normal 2, maybe plus 1 from the card. And what they do is they roll. So in this instance, it's 2 dice, and they roll, and they got a tank, which doesn't give us anything, and they got a flag. And basically, that flag causes that unit to go back
1
1
hex.
hex.
So basically, the closer you get, the more dice you get to roll.
Unless that unit is behind sandbags or something like that. There's all little interesting rules that you can have.
Yeah, I
which
actually
might-
see there's little
Yeah.
sort of hex sandbag things
Here's
there
little
to represent them,
sandbags
which
here.
is cool.
And those little sandbags, as if they were behind those sandbags at the beginning of the
Bonus
game,
defense, I
they
assume.
get a bonus, so where they can basically
Yeah.
ignore the first flag. Okay? So if they've got 2 flags, they'd go back 2. Okay? If he'd got 1 guy, an infantryman, and a flag, 1 guy is dead,
And they
and
go
then
back
they
a
go
hex.
back. Okay?
Right.
And that's a good thing, pushing them back, because that pushes them out of range to counterattack. And
Yeah, it means
assault.
that whenever they're trying to shoot back, they kind of have to do that move and
Yeah.
shoot.
Now, interesting thing is, as you lose guys, it doesn't affect your dice rolls. You still fire back with the same firepower as you did whenever you have a full unit. So
Does that count all the way down to like?
all the way down to 1 guy.
1 guy.
So having 1 guy there versus your 2, that guy is still just as deadly and just as dangerous. So you'll want to make sure that you can deal
Yeah,
with
it's
him.
just a little bit easier to get rid of.
He's
than the
easier to
guy
get
with
rid
2.
of, but he can still do a lot of damage. So, from the point of view of the game, after that, you can go into things like having specific types of special forces that can have much better movement, and that they can move a lot further, then attack, then move again. So there's some really interesting dynamics in the game. So from its simple origins, it starts to get really
and
kind of interesting.
It does feel like a war game and not a board game.
It kind of feels like both to me. You know,
It's a strategy game.
It is a strategy game, and it's a great tabletop strategy game. And I think after 1 turn, even a kind of a non-board gamer would start to get the hang of this game. And after 1 game of it, and a game we've found to last maybe 35, 40 minutes. First game lasted about 40 minutes.
Yeah, but
and
that's whenever you were going through
that
the
was
first
including
learning.
us learning how
that's
to
not
play
bad.
the game. So I think after that first game, if they've enjoyed it, it'll be very quick to set up other games, and you can either follow what's the scenarios that's in the rule book, which is always great fun because they're all laid out and they're kind of a bit more balanced, or you could just take equal points, or an equal number of models each, throw some terrain down,
And
then
do it
deploy.
How does the
do
terrain
whatever.
go down? Does it go down according to a system, or you just put the terrain down?
It goes down according to a map if you're following the guide in the book, or if you were doing it just between you, you'd maybe just shuffle the cards, take it, and you get to place one
So
piece
I
of
place
terrain.
1, you place 1, I
Yeah.
place 1, you place 1.
And you would maybe say it has to be in this zone,
Yeah.
then this zone, then that zone, and you place it out. So there's a lot of longevity to this wee game, and I just
I like the look
think
of
it's
this a
great.
lot, actually.
Yeah.
Quite cool.
So, if you fancy trying to play something, with a little bit of a World War II bent to it with your friends, or maybe trying to introduce some friends to gaming, this I highly recommend. It's a great game to do it.
Did Andrea like this?
So far, Andrea really likes the look of this because Andrea enjoys the models and stuff like that anyway. And to be fair, none of the models in this particular game are really going to blow you away. They're more counters than models, but it's the fact that the game is simple, but has real tactical options. Okay, and it really does a nice job of modeling things like fog of war. Disorganization,
Breakdowns in communication.
breakdowns in communication, and it leaves you wondering: will I play that order now, or will I hold on to that order just in case I need it a bit later? And if you've got a full hand of like 6 orders, you can start to work out. Well, I'm going to do this order followed by that order, and that gets everybody into position, and then I'm going to play this order. And some of the cool orders that you can play. Well, for example, you might play an all-out general assault on me, okay? And then I play a card called Counterattack, which allows me to play the order that you've just played.
Oh.
And then suddenly I just go whop again.
So suddenly what became my hammer of an attack is going to meet the anvil of you going, I think not.
Exactly. So as games go, guys, this
really
one
cool.
This one's a thumbs up from me.
When we have the club up and running, I'll have to get you to teach me again. Yeah. As soon as the club's up and running, you're taking me and him through again.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's for 2 players, okay? Or you can play as teams. Okay, so there's a kind of
tag team thing.
There's team-based rules as well, which are quite interesting.
So I control the armor, you control the infantry, or
You probably just split it up.
It's all in there. We're not going to confuse things for that. So, if you're into it, guys, any of you guys that enjoy your bolt action, your Flames of War, and you want to try and get some other friends into gaming, and let's be honest, that's what it's all about these days. Let's try and recruit more people into the hobby. That's a great place to start. So, there we have it. After this, we're going to move on to XLBS. We're going to be talking things like Kings of War. We're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts and feelings on that. Exilis has come back to Kickstarter.
Yep, it's back from the dead.
Yeah, it's all about weird.
It never fully went away because we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
If you like to see it, guys, join Backstage and come and join us on Sunday.
We're going to talk a little bit about Alien versus Predator and the cool mini or not factor that everybody's jumping up and down about. And then finally,
we got sent a box of goodies.
I have a box of goodies to show you guys from Wild West Exodus.
I've been waiting to get my hands on these.
So, if you fancy getting involved in that and watching a little bit more as the embers of the fire die down, I can still hear the rain and the wind outside, please consider joining Backstage. Backstage is the way that Beasts of War gets its support. You community members keep it all going and keep the community alive and keep the content flowing and everything else. It's important, and it's important to keep everything up and running. And without it, we couldn't continue. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. We hope we'll see as many of you as possible in XLBS. And until tomorrow, have a great Saturday.